Balancing intuitive eating with eating whole foods is a question that I get semi frequently. And there are different opinions on what intuitive eating is and isn't. And understanding intuitive eating and its importance in your weight loss journey is paramount. And today we're going to talk through what it is, how to do it, and how to balance it with a real food mindset. Hey, welcome to the Kingdom Fit Moms podcast, where we believe that you can go on a journey to lose weight for the last time. I know you've tried all the things and you may not believe me yet, but when you do weight loss the Kingdom Fit Moms way, everything changes. You're in the right place if weight is constantly on your mind, you're confused about food, you're missing out on memories, and maybe even putting your dreams off for another day because this weight struggle is no joke. We're a community and we're on a mission to invite God into this weight loss journey so you can shed the burden and shine your light. I want you to start living and believing in the version of yourself that heaven sees. Let's get started. All right, it's time for a Fit Mom win of the week. And this is from a Fit Mom who titled her post within our community inside of Fit Moms Academy. She titled her post, "Snack Food No Longer Tastes Good." And here's what she wrote. "For the most part, I have not been bringing junk food into the house because it's easier to avoid if it's not here. On Saturday, I went to an event where Doritos were available. I decided to take some. I ate 2 chips and they both no longer tasted good to me at all. I used to like them a lot. I threw the rest out, no problem. I also lost 4 pounds so far this month. So Fit Mom, we are cheering you on and celebrating you. Of course, the weight loss is amazing. We love seeing those scale victories. And also, it's nice when you start seeing your body change, your taste buds, and their receptivity to food is literally changing by choosing real food. We have a push challenge going on inside of our community, which basically means we're focusing on real food and getting extra miles in for the month. And so this Fit Mom is totally rocking it. So celebrate her with us today. All right. Wow. This past week has been a week. I don't know if you're on my email list. If not, we'd love to have you. You can hop down to the show notes and I'll put the link for you to sign up so that you stay in the know with what's going on with all things Kingdom Fit Moms. But I shared a little bit of this story in last week's newsletter. And also on the topic of the newsletter, I started something called Kingdom Fit Finds, Kingdom Fit Insider. And within that are Kingdom Fit Finds, where basically I'm just sharing recipes. I'm sharing my favorite products. I'm sharing things you need in your home gym every single week on the newsletter. Also scriptural encouragement, a recap of our podcast. So just kind of one place to be encouraged and motivated every single week. So you can hop down to the show notes and make sure that you are on my email list. But anyway, I thought that this topic of intuitive eating and real food is very timely in my life, and I'll just share briefly this past week. So I took a little ski trip with our homeschool community. We had a week off of our co-op, and so some of us went to a local-ish ski resort. And again, I live in Illinois, so there's not giant mountains here, but this is, a decent place to ski for the day. So we went with my friend and her daughter, and they did a great job. Like, they were loving it. And then unfortunately, at the end of the day, she fell and broke her humerus, like really fractured it. Took an ambulance trip over to the hospital and she needed surgery. And it was hard. It was hard because I was in a situation where, I desperately wanted my friend out of pain, and seeing her in pain was sad, of course. And anyway, it all worked out. She's still obviously suffering through it, but I was grateful that I was able to be there and bless her. But of course, things like that take a toll on your immune system. And I was already fighting a cold, so the rest of the week, of course, that cold was no longer being fought, and it was just kind of full blown. Which normally, again, it's not the end of the world, but being pregnant, it just kind of hit me and I was down. So all that to say is I had to listen to my body and what I needed. And now that I am recording this podcast, realizing all of the different aspects of intuitive eating that really are embedded in what I do every day and what I teach my students and what I want to teach you today as well. Combining all of that with real food. So our Kingdom Fit Moms approach to food is to eat real food, the food that God made. Essentially, if God made it, I can eat it, right? So for example, this is a one I give often. An apple, you can pick it from the tree. There are no labels needed. It's just an apple. It's a single ingredient. And it's full of nutrients that will bless my body. I can take that apple. I can make applesauce. Homemade applesauce is still a real food, but if you get it from the store, it can have some added preservative, sugar, etc. So it's a little bit further removed from its real food self. And then an apple fritter is taking a little further, and then maybe apple Laffy Taffy is essentially, there's nothing really real about it. So thinking of food this way, it really frees you up from trying to figure out, oh, can I eat this? Can I not? But I often have other questions that come along with that, understandably, especially because there are so many different theories on how you should be eating and hitting macros or calories. So we're just going to talk through how to combine intuitive eating with this real food mentality so that you can really walk in the freedom that you desire. Hey friend, are you guilty of spending your precious dollars on yet another fad diet only to find yourself in the exact same shoes a few months later, maybe even with some extra pounds from where you began? I used to search for the solution to weight loss, was stuck in systems of counting calories and macros, cutting out carbs, feeling enslaved to whatever popular program my friends recommended. I even tried metabolism boosters in hopes of seeing the scale drop quickly. Not to mention, I'd spend hours in the gym burning as many calories as possible so I could have my late night chocolate treats guilt-free, or at least I wouldn't see the scale jump up. I was in this perpetual cycle of needing to do more so I could eat more, and then feeling like I couldn't eat what I needed during the day because I had to save up calories. I hit my breaking point and thought, there has got to be a better way. I repented for trying to do it on my own and following the world's man-made systems of eating. And then I spent the next decade and more discovering the most freeing way to live, filling my body with God's foods, changing my heart to want to live abundantly healthy, and learning how to invite God into the journey and heal from why the struggle existed in the first place. The best part? I get to lead a movement of mamas who are doing the exact same thing. I've left my full-time career as a physician assistant and have created a program that teaches women just like you exactly how to break out of the diet cycle and lose weight for the last time. Are you ready to be a part of our movement and break up with that silly restriction mindset once and for all? Hop down to kelseywickenhauser.com/join to get started today inside of Fit Moms Academy. I'll see you inside. All right, so we have gone over real food. Hopefully you get the idea. And I want to dive into the different principles of intuitive eating. There are actually 10 written principles that help you to understand exactly what this is. So it's not some elusive, idea. I thought that was really helpful. If you go just Google intuitive eating principles, you can look all these up. But I'm going to combine these principles with our real food mindset and help you to hopefully combine the two today. So the first principle that you'll see is to reject the diet mentality. Okay, so the word diet means what you eat most of the time. And what we want you to be eating most of the time is God's food, right? Why? Because He gives us this food to sustain us and to prevent disease, and it's truly for our best interest. So instead of saying, I'm on a diet with real food, it's I get to eat the food that He created regularly and see it as a gift. So having this real food mentality by proxy helps you to reject the diet mentality because it's an I get to instead of an I have to, if that makes sense. So the second principle of intuitive eating is to honor your hunger. And this is where diets really get the best of you. We get afraid to eat. I have heard this countless times where women start to, they're on this plan, they're trying to stick to their discipline and what they had planned for the day. And then they get hungry and then we start to freak out. Okay, we get afraid to eat. So what do? Do I just ignore the hunger? Do I eat? What should I eat if I'm hungry and I've had my plan? So these are all very legitimate questions. And if we are truly hungry, here are my thoughts on this. If we're truly hungry, unless we are fasting for health or spiritual practices, then it is appropriate to eat. So if you are noticing that you're having more hunger cues, first of all, your body is trying to tell you something, right? We get cues from our body in various ways. So it's worth considering, have I increased my calorie expenditure? So sometimes you're exercising more and you may not realize, I'm hungry because I'm lifting weights and I need more protein and fats and carbs to help my body recover. So that's definitely a possibility. It's also worth considering, where am I at in my cycle? More carbohydrates are needed before you bleed because it helps to increase progesterone. So as long as you can work toward discerning, is this true hunger? Then you should eat the food, right? And of course, if you are really hungry, then just choose real food. Most of the time, if you look at your food log throughout the whole day, most women, not all, but most are low on vegetables or protein. And so those are great choices to go toward when you are feeling hungry. But again, if it is before your cycle and you need some more carbohydrates, maybe the solution is to add in a sweet potato or some chia seed pudding or yogurt, something of that nature. All right, principle number 3 is to make peace with food. Food is such a gift. And inside of Fit Moms Academy, we really work toward helping you to break down lies about food. The enemy wants us to see food as something that we quote unquote deserve for our pleasure. And we do get the gift of food from God so that we can live our best life to serve Him, our family and those around us with energy, with vitality, right? That's true life. And so fueling your mind with the truth about food, it's really important in breaking down lies. And this is something that we do right off the bat inside of Fit Moms Academy, because I don't know if anybody can escape this unless you have a parent who is very intentional about teaching you this from the start, which we hope to pass on to future generations from our Fit Moms. But there are so many lies around what is good for your body and marketing, and there is a lot of money involved in the food industry to help sway us into believing certain things. So it's learning to make peace with food and being able to shift our mindset to almost imagine like we're walking in the Garden of Eden and we're able to experience food the way that we were initially designed, instead of fearing it or dreading it or having shame around it. Okay, principle number 4 is to challenge the food police. I thought it would be fun for this one to just go through some rules that I see women get stuck in that are very food policey. So the first has to do with protein and getting X number of grams per day. Like I have to get, 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, or whatever plan you follow with macros, or making sure I have a handful at every meal. Okay, those are all great ideas in theory, but there are plenty of other people around the world who don't focus on this, and they are healthy and they're not, struggling with their weight. So you've probably heard me talk before about blue zones. Blue zones are areas of the world where a large percentage of the people live to be 100, and most of them are plant-based eaters. They eat very little meat, and so their protein is coming from plant-based sources. And they are living to be 100, right? 100 some plus. So yeah, if you are trying to become a bodybuilder, then you probably need to get a certain number of grams of protein, but maybe this will set you free that it's way more important to focus on eating real food, including protein, than trying to fit in your protein and then letting everything else go to the wayside. Another rule that I see women get stuck in is that carbs are bad, or I should not be eating any carbs, or they will ruin my plan. And that is not true, especially if you're exercising. Like, you need carbohydrates for energy, and God made carbs. Carbs are delicious and you can eat them. We just have to learn a good balance between all the real foods. Another rule that I see women get stuck in is that you cannot have any fun foods ever. I have to eat real food 100% for the rest of my life or else. And again, this is something that you have to wrestle with the Lord and just see what He's asking you to do. Maybe your goal is to eat real food most of the time and to just have control over your choices. And that is where I stand. I had a donut this weekend as we were celebrating my granny's birthday, and it was fine. I didn't feel bad about it. It was delicious, and I'm hopping right back into the way that I eat, today. Well, as I'm recording this, it's been a few days. Okay. Anyway, the other food rule that I see a lot is that women get really stuck in eating only organic or preservative-free. And to this, I would say just do your best. You can look up the Dirty Dozen and try to stick with foods that are more prone to high pesticides, getting those organic. But I would rather you eat real food than not at all if you're so worried about, everything being organic. Okay, so we're challenging the food police. Principle number 5 of intuitive eating is to respect your fullness. What does that mean, to respect your fullness? Well, maybe this is something that you were started in as a child, as I have to finish my plate. And you don't have to finish a meal if you're full. Even if there's just a bite left, you can stop and say, you know what, I think I'm done. And it's okay. And there is no shame there, and you don't have to finish your plate. And it will not solve all these starving children in Africa by not finishing your one bite, right? Principle number 6 of intuitive eating is to discover the satisfaction factor. And I would invite you to ask yourself with this principle, what do I really want to eat? And you can think about flavors or textures or aroma or the appearance of foods. Are you in the mood for something savory or salty or buttery or rich or bitter or hot and spicy or bland or mild? What food would really hit the spot at the moment? And how do I want to feel when I finish eating? Okay, so this is an important part of that as well. And then, really reflect on what are my favorite foods and places to eat, what type of eating experiences are the most satisfying, how can I incorporate satisfaction into my regular routine so you don't only have to eat. My point in saying all of this is you don't have to eat plain chicken breast and broccoli if you hate it all the time, right? Think about what you enjoy, and let's help you to get creative in the kitchen so that you feel satisfied and you feel like, I can enjoy good food that's real food. And if it's not perfect, that's totally okay. But you are on a journey toward eating more real food in a way that is also going to make it enjoyable. Food is not designed to just be something that we have to scarf down for nourishment alone. Like, God gives taste to food, and it can be fun. Okay, principle number 7, honor your feelings without using food. Now, this one is very important to pair with our principle that talked about, honoring your hunger. So sometimes they can get confused, right? Our emotions and our feelings and our hunger. So emotions are not evil, and we have to learn to lean into them. And I will link an episode below that talked about inner healing for weight loss. You can go back and listen to that. It'll talk a lot more about this principle. But you can use food for comfort a little bit, but it shouldn't be the source of comfort, right? God is our source of comfort, and He gives us a lot of different tools on our tool belt to help when emotions are high. And so we want you to feel all the feels and not let it control us. Okay, so that's principle 7. I have lots of other podcasts and conversations around honoring your feelings, but we have to essentially learn how to separate those feelings from the action of eating. Principle number 8 is to respect your body. And again, healing is often needed for this. Asking questions like, do I value my body? And when I do I want to fuel it well? Just like you want your children, right, fueled well and you honor their bodies, am I doing the same for myself? Or when I take my car to the gas station, am I putting horrible fuel in there? No, of course, like you want it to last a long time. And so part of respecting your body is having that mindset shift of, I am worth it, I am worthy, and I'm going to fight for this for myself. And part of that fight is by fueling my body well and getting excited about the outcome and how I feel and the energy and all of those things. Okay, principle number 9 of intuitive eating is to exercise and feel the difference. So when I move my body, I feel good, and I don't want to ruin that good feeling with crummy food. And so movement really plays a part with this because you want to move well. My husband's business is called Free to Move. And that's essentially what this whole journey is about, right? We want to be able to move freely with whatever God calls us to do. And if, I exercise and then eat a bunch of sugar and have a major crash, then they don't really pair well together. So feel the difference of how you move with good fuel, and it'll motivate you to keep going. Maybe you have some fitness goals. Maybe you're making gains in the gym. Maybe you're trying out running, whatever those things are. And maybe you're simply walking, and I don't want to even say just, because walking is an amazing form of exercise, but you might notice that your walks are easier when your nutrition is good. Okay, principle number 10. This is the last principle of intuitive eating, and it ties into everything else we've already said, and it's to honor your health. I want you to get excited about being incredibly healthy, and that momentum will keep building. You get to practice eating real food in different ways using intuitive eating, as we've gone through today. And you're going to want more and more and more, to the point where you just do not want to eat junk food regularly or at all, because it's just not worth it. Just like the testimonial you heard at the beginning of this podcast, you can get to the point where real food, it becomes a form of honor to God and to yourself. All right, Fit Mom. So hopefully in this conversation, you have realized that I can pair intuitive eating. Maybe you didn't know what intuitive eating was, and now you know the 10 principles. You can go learn more about it. You can pair that with real food, and you can live this freedom lifestyle where you don't have to struggle every day with your weight or the thoughts around it or that battle with the scale. I am rooting for you, and I can't wait to see you shed the burden and shine your light. Hey Fit Mom, if this episode blessed you today and you can think of somebody else who's struggling in her weight loss journey, would you consider sharing this week's episode with her to give her a sense of hope? And then while you're at it, hop on over to our free Facebook community, Kingdom Fit Moms, for daily encouragement and support. Let's go shed the weight to shine the light.